This is the story of those bright red fruit jewels which end up in your snack bowl, your sauces, and breakfasts. Yes, we are taking you to the cherry gardens around the world, so you know the real struggle and mystery behind those perfectly packed boxes with no bruises. Coming straight to the stuff you're interested in, people grow cherries in places that have a clear winter chill, a frost-free bloom window, and summer sun that ripens sugar into fruit. But where is not a single map. Cherries are both a temperate fruit and a globe-trotting commodity. Turkey, Chile, the United States, Uzbekistan, and Iran are among the world's biggest producers, and production numbers climb and dip with climate, irrigation, and market demand. There are two main cherries people care about commercially. Sweet cherries, Prunus avium, the ones you pluck and pop, and tart or sour cherries, Prunus cerasus, which often end up in pies, frozen fruit packs, or processing lines. Different varieties mean different handling. Tart cherries are usually tougher, used heavily in processing. Sweet cherries are higher value on the fresh market and demand gentler handling. A cherry orchard looks simple until you notice all the invisible engineering. Pruning plans that shape sunlight and airflow, orchard floor management to control weeds and soil moisture, irrigation that's timed to berry fill, and insect and disease control schedules that protect fruit without leaving residues that will cause problems downstream. Cherries are harvested at peak sugar and color, but they are unforgiving. Wait a day and you lose firmness. Harvest too early and you lose sweetness. For the fresh market, handpicking is still king because it preserves stem integrity and minimizes damage. Workers move down rows with buckets and ladders, plucking cherries one by one, quickly filling field bins that move to refrigerated trucks. For cherries destined to be canned, frozen, or juiced, speed matters. Mechanical harvesters, trunk or canopy shakers, and over-the-row machines vibrate fruit off limbs into collection belts or onto tarps. They're faster and cheaper for large acreage, but they physically stress fruit and can cause stem loss and bruising. Because of that, mechanical harvest is more common for processing orchards than for premium fresh markets. Some growers use a chemical aid to help fruit detach uniformly, timed to mechanical harvesters. Others use netting under trees to catch falling fruit gently. And for export fresh cherries, growers often combine hand harvest with immediate pre-cooling and cold chain logistics. The clock starts when the cherry is in the bin. Once picked, cherries enter the most frugal stage of their journey, staying cool. Rapid pre-cooling, hydrocooling, forced air cooling lowers fruit temperature and extends shelf life. For fresh export, that temperature control is the difference between glossy supermarket fruit and a bruised crate. In the packing house, cherries go through rigorous sorting. Machines and human sorters remove leaves, stems, twigs, underripe berries, and anything with a defect. Optical sorters use cameras to reject color off and bruised fruit. If cherries are headed for processing, the tolerance for blemishes is higher. For fresh markets, only the cleanest, perfectly colored fruit pass. Incoming inspection checks for foreign material, insect damage, and off-grade loads. Samples are taken for soluble solids, bricks, acidity, and microbial tests if necessary. For cherries going into syrup, stems are often removed early to prevent stem end staining. For pitted cherries, pitting comes next. Wash lines typically include food-grade sanitizers to reduce microbial loads. The aim is cleanliness without stripping the fruit's surface. Some processors use a leach rinse for maraschino cherries or brine cherries to remove sulfur dioxide or preservative residues before the sweetening process. Not all cherries end up in metal cans. Aseptic bags and retort pouches have gained ground for certain product types because they're lighter and require less energy to transport. Aseptic filling depends on sterilizing the product and filling containers in sterile conditions, often producing shelf-stable products without the heavy thermal load that traditional canning imparts. Making cherry syrup, both the flavored bottled syrups that top milkshakes and the denser fruit syrups used in bakery fillings, is another factory line. Two common approaches. For puree-based syrup, cherries are pulped and strained, some are concentrated by evaporation or membrane concentration until the target brix is reached. For flavor syrups, producers may blend fruit concentrate, sugar syrups, citric acid, and colorants to achieve consistent flavor year-round. Cherries intended for pies or bakery filling may be processed differently. A portion might be kept frozen as whole, followed by addition to fillings. Others are cooked into compotes and filled into cans.
Sweet, saucy, and ready to party on your plate. Breakfast, barbecue, midnight snack. Don't worry, they're always the game. Yes, that beast is gonna harvest the Haricot beans. These little white beans are chosen because they cook up soft and creamy, soaking up all those delicious sauces. But where do they come from? It all starts from Myanmar, which is known as the second largest producer of the Haricot Ivans all around the world. 4.8 million metric tons annually is a big deal. Haricot beans begin their flourishing journey on Myanmar's sprawling farms, usually in warm regions with plenty of sunshine. Farmers plant these beans in the spring, giving them just the right amount of water and care. And right after about 75 to 100 days, the plants are ready to harvest. The beans grow inside pods, similar to green beans, but they're left to dry naturally in the fields. Why? Because drying makes it easier to store and process them later. Haricot beans are also known as navy beans because they were a staple food for sailors in the 19th century. They must have served their best to keep those soldiers in shape. Oh really, they are one of the most protein-containing foods. Now these harvesters do this particular process called harvesting, what you've been watching for a few minutes. And it takes place once the pods are completely dry. So the large harvesting machines sweep through the fields, pulling the plants from the ground and separating the beans from the pods. These machines are incredibly efficient, collecting thousands of beans in minutes. The beans are then cleaned to remove any dirt or debris and sorted to ensure only the best ones make the cut. It might sound simple that, okay, they're going to get clean now, but trust me, it's a super detailed process. Every bean needs to be spotless because even the tiniest speck of dirt can ruin the end product. So once the beans arrive at the factory, they're still in their raw, dried state. After that, they go through an air-blowing machine. Yes, air. It's that little windstorm that blows away lighter impurities, while they're ready to be washed with fresh water and set aside in the containers for partial cooking. By now, they're plump, clean, and ready for the cooking process. About that staying in shape, 1 cup of cooked beans packs nearly 15 grams of protein, making them an excellent option for muscle building and repair, especially if you're cutting back on meat. There is a basic science behind it. Beans are actually digested slowly, which helps to stabilize your blood sugar levels. This slow relief energy means you'll feel full longer, helping to curb overeating and snack cravings. A big win for keeping your waistline in check. For that secret which is not so secret sauce, they use ripe, juicy tomatoes that are cooked down into a thick, concentrated paste full of flavor. And for that sweet and savory taste, so each brand has its own secret blend, but common additions include mustard, paprika, garlic powder, or even a touch of chili for a mild kick. What's fascinating is that the sauce is designed to thicken as the beans cook during the canning process. These people take great care to get the texture just right. Thick enough to stick to the beans, but not so thick it feels heavy. This balance is key to achieving that smooth, comforting bite. As soon as the beans are pre-cooked and ready to go, they start preparing the cans, so the process remains smooth yet speedy. What's that simple method though? It's mixing everything up first. Here, the beans and sauce are blended together in massive vats to ensure every bean is coated evenly with that rich, flavorful sauce. The mixture is then poured into cans as a complete saucy package. This method gives a more consistent sauce-to-bean ratio in every bite and speeds up production because it skips the separate pouring step. Some factories might go for filling the cans with beans, only then pour the sauce over it, which is also acceptable and kind of works in one way or another. But if you ask me, which one's preferred on a large scale, mixing everything beforehand is the clear winner for big factories. It's faster, reduces the chance of errors, and ensures every can is packed with the same flavor. Some factories can process over 1,000 cans per minute using this method. It's efficiency at its finest, and only achieved when they don't compromise on any tiny step. And we thought you must watch its entire process. Either it's acceptable to grab that ready-to-eat can of baked beans, or is it just a waste of money? It's your call, but do tell us what you think.
Get ready as you're about to witness the large-scale sugar production you might have never seen before. Let's get started already. When you think about sugar, your mind probably jumps to donuts, cookies, cakes, or maybe even that irresistible smooth chocolate. Like these sweet treats, you won't find their story in the aisles of a grocery store. To make those sweet white crystals, farmers need to do preparations beforehand. They prepare their fields carefully because sugar beets are picky about their environment and land where they'll grow. The soil has to be just right, something called loamy soil. This type of soil is soft, nutrient-rich, and holds just enough moisture to keep the beets happy. Just look at that visual representation of how soil absorb all the sunlight, water droplets, and carbon dioxide to nourish the sugar beets and develop intense, sweet flavor in it. We all have read this little science in our school books, that how nature helps to thrive the plants. Just, it's much easier to know how beets get sweetened via these visuals. You know that about 20% of the world's sugar comes from sugar beets? That's no small feat for a vegetable that's often overshadowed by its tropical cousin. Yes, I meant sugarcane. Sugar beets are really high maintenance. They need a lot of water, around 20 to 30 inches over the growing season. Now that we've seen how sugar beets grow into sweet powerhouses, let's move on to harvesting, where all that hard work in the fields starts to pay off. It usually is done in late autumn when the sugar content in the beets has reached its peak, and let's not forget the sheer volume of beets involved. They pile up the entire harvested stock and then scoop out only the needed quantity. To put that into perspective, a single ton of sugar beets can produce roughly 300 pounds of sugar. That means even a small pile of beets has the potential to sweeten lots of cups of coffee. As the trucks roll into the factory, they're greeted by weigh stations. Here, each truckload is weighed to calculate how much Beet Bounty has arrived and then loaded for further processing. Speaking of cleaning, sugar beets go through a serious water treatment before they're ready for processing. By the time they emerge, the beets are spotless and ready for the slicing stage. Here, a giant grater working on turbo speed shaves the beets into long, narrow slices. It's all about maximizing surface area. The more surface there is, the easier it is to extract the sugar. This process is more like brewing tea. The hot water draws out the sucrose, creating a sweet juice that's rich in sugar, but also contains other natural compounds. The leftover beet pulp, now devoid of most of its sugar, goes to the recycling chamber to make some animal feed. You know, the water used in the diffusion process is recycled multiple times so they can keep track of as much hygiene as possible. I get such comments a lot that literally, what's the purpose of this much care to produce a product which is toxic to health? What do you say about it? Would you rather take it positively or want to say something in regard? The thin juice is sent through multiple evaporation stages where it's boiled to remove excess water. This syrup is loaded with sugar, but it's still in liquid form. At this point, the mixture of sugar crystals and syrup is spun in large centrifuges. These machines are just like the washing machines, separating the solid sugar from the liquid molasses. And the transformation is almost complete. But what about the impact of sugar on global health and policy? This area has become more prominent as the link between sugar consumption and various health concerns has led to significant changes in the way we view and regulate sugar. Due to such concerns, people have shifted to more organic options, but sugar is still a staple in many countries. Soft, creamy, and so comforting? Yes, that cream bread is one of those baked delights that you can't take it as a simple snack. It's basically an experience, combining the tender, airy texture of freshly baked bread with a rich, velvety filling that melts in your mouth. The concept of cream bread is surprisingly simple, yet genius. It's a bread that's so fluffy that it practically floats on your tongue. Often made with enriched dough that includes typical basic ingredients, the bread is designed to stay moist and tender for days. The secret lies in techniques like slow proofing, which allows the dough to rise gradually, enhancing its lightness and flavor. In South Korea, cream bread has become so popular that bakeries compete to make the softest dough and creamiest filling. You probably have seen those satisfying videos on Gram, right? Crunchy, sweet, and utterly addictive caramelized nuts are the perfect snack or topping to elevate literally anything. These golden glossy treats take the natural richness of nuts and coat them in a layer of caramelized sugar, creating a flavor explosion that's hard to resist. When I say hard, I mean it. I have tried these nuts, or whatever main crew you chose to get coated with the rich caramel. It becomes super delicious. You can't consume cranberries as a fresh fruit because it's too tangy for that. Ah, I can feel the tingling around my tongue. But what about the sauce? That's the real matter. So before a single vine goes into the ground, farmers have to create the perfect environment for them. Just a few inches long, these vines are taken from established ones, bundled together, and spread across the prepared land. Cranberries are slow growers. From a seed, it would take years before they produce fruit. But with cuttings, the vines establish much faster. It takes about 3 years before a new bog is ready for a full harvest. That's a long time to wait, but once the vines take hold, they can keep producing for decades. These delicate blossoms are what eventually develop into cranberries. After months of soaking up the sun, the cranberries are finally ready for harvest. By early fall, the fields are filled with deep red berries, packed with tiny air pockets that'll help them float. Now for harvesting those cute berries, they need to flood the bogs. So farmers open a system of floodgates and pumps, slowly filling the bogs with water. With the cranberries floating freely on the water, it's time to gather them up. Now this one will be a slow but controlled process. Rushing it could leave berries behind, and that's the last thing farmers want. Once the berries are fully gathered, a powerful suction pump steps in. These machines pull the cranberries from the water and load them into waiting trucks. The suction tubes are the giant vacuum hoses, slurping up thousands of berries at a time, while conveyor belts gently lift and drop them into the truck bed. Lighter, lower quality cranberries sometimes get left behind because they don't float as well. The moment cranberries are lifted out of the water, these berries don't just get scooped up and tossed into trucks. They go through a built-in cleaning system before even leaving the farm. After a fast ride from the farm, the trucks finally arrive at the processing facility, loaded with thousands of pounds of freshly harvested cranberries. Here, these berries will be passed through several procedures to make sure they are squeaky clean. Even though they've already been rinsed in the field, there's still dirt, plant debris, and any remaining leaves or stems that need to be removed before they can be processed. As they float along, the cranberries pass through a roller system with fine mesh screens, which filter out anything that's not a berry. Leaves and twigs are skimmed off, and any small stones or heavy debris sink to the bottom and are removed. With the cranberries now clean and dry, it's time to separate the best from the rest. Not every berry that makes it this far is good enough for store shelves or processing. Factories use a combination of machines, air jets, to make sure only the highest quality cranberries move forward. This is an easy way to quickly filter out any berries that aren't up to standard. The cranberries travel along a conveyor belt lined with mechanical rollers. These rollers have gaps that are precisely sized to let smaller, underripe berries fall through, while the larger, fully developed ones continue moving forward. Cranberries are naturally firm, and a fresh, high-quality berry will bounce when dropped onto a hard surface. Good cranberries bounce up and land in collection bins, while soft or overripe ones simply roll down and get discarded. This method has been used for decades and is still one of the most effective ways to check for quality. These berries need to be handled quickly to lock in their freshness and preserve their vibrant color, tart flavor, and nutrients. For the cranberries that aren't frozen or processed, but fresh as the day one, will be sent packing them fresh, straight into plastic clamshell boxes for grocery store shelves. These boxes are designed to protect the cranberries while allowing for airflow, preventing excess moisture buildup that could cause mold. For cranberries destined for large-scale food production, like juice factories, bakeries, and restaurants, plastic boxes won't cut it. Instead, these berries are packed in bulk cartons, designed for easy transport and large-scale use. These cartons are lined with food-safe plastic bags to prevent moisture loss and keep the berries fresh. Once cranberries arrive at the sauce production facility, they are immediately moved into the cooking chambers. The cranberries are transferred into huge industrial kettles, where they are mixed with water and sugar to create the perfect sweet and tangy sauce.